Well, Rishi Sunak takes over as the youngest Prime Minister of the UK in the last 2 centuries. Of course, of Indian origin, but outside of that, he's the third Prime Minister of the UK in 2022. But what's making him tick under these circumstances? What makes Rishi Sunak special? First, we must understand what's happened in British politics. Liz Truss, who's the former Prime Minister, took office at the start of September. Her government announced tax cuts of £45 billion and on top of that also capped prices of energy. The problem here was, where would these tax cuts be funded from? So these were largely budget deficits, and the funding of these tax cuts was not appropriately communicated to markets, and what happened therefore was that markets expressed a lack of confidence in the government as well as in UK government bonds. So we saw the UK government bond yield rise from 2.2% at the end of August to almost 4.5%. And subsequent to that vote of no confidence of sorts, there were a slew of resignations that came through in the government, leading all the way till the top, and we did see Prime Minister Liz Truss herself resign. Now, at this point, of course, we come to why Rishi Sunak is the chosen one, what makes him stand out. And let's try and understand what he's done, especially at a time when UK was facing critical challenges. Rishi Sunak came in as Chancellor at the start of 2020, just prior to COVID, and that really drove the economy forward. What he did was he framed policy and economic support programs for COVID, which was around £330 billion of emergency funds and salary subsidies. What he also did was he framed rescue programs which were widely popular among the UK population. The most famous of that also being the Eat Out to Help Out program. The government partially subsidized food and non-alcoholic beverages under the program, and along with it, they also supported the hospitality and tourism sector, cutting taxes across the board for these sectors. They also incentivized employers to bring back furloughed staff back onto their payrolls, giving bonuses to employers. They kick-started the scheme of giving employers incentives to create new jobs for 16 to 24-year-olds, and along with it, apprenticeships were also incentivized. We saw fund and career advisors, work coaches also being supported through the employment process. We saw the housing market getting support through tax cuts. He also supported Brexit on the overall policy front. So largely, we've seen him well aligned with the policies of the previous government, and of course, he was also a very critical part of that previous government. But most importantly, he understands finance as well as markets. He comes from a finance background, and currently the real challenge in the UK economy is the inflation and how to deal with that going forward and how to calm markets down. So he's acknowledged the economic challenges that the UK faces. The deficit of the last 2 years were essentially brought in by him through that policy that he's put through over the last 2 years, and that will bring policy consistency to the government, which is widely needed at the moment. Markets have already given him a thumbs up. We've seen bond yields fall from 4.5 to 3.75%, and that was roughly at 4.1% on the 23rd of October. So that's a steep fall. Of course, now is the real test for Rishi Sunak. We need to try and see as to what policies he brings forth and how they're really accepted by the market.